T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
Hey, I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, boys. So, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. So, just open with this kind of open-ended question. T-Dog, favorite dish from the big meal?
Oh, it's easily the dressing that my aunt makes. That's it.
Lugs.
I guess this year my favorite was just the bland old turkey. You know, I like a good slice of turkey. That was about it.
Would that be the white meat or the dark meat or the drumstick? What's your choice there?
Well, in this case, I had white meat, but I'll take a drumstick. But somebody had already ripped both sticks off of the bird, so I had to settle for the white meat.
Oh,
but it was good. It was really good.
Well, let's start out with some good news, shall we? The 110th CFL Grey Cup was won by what team, Lugs? Did you know? Do you know?
The Alouettes.
They did.
I'm just guessing.
They upset the Blue Bombers. Yes. They upset the Blue Bombers 28-24 with a touchdown pass in the last 11 seconds. So there you go. We got that little tidbit.
Well, now we've got a tease, too, because coming up in sports of yesteryear, we've got the CFL featured. Okay, go ahead.
See, we do a proper show with the tease to the next segment. I mean, is this great or what? And let's move on to the NFL now. This tidbit, the Eagles are 10-1, and they're off to the best start in NFL history of any team that lost the Super Bowl last year. So how about that? Now, let's start with this. We just finished up Week 12. Welcome in. Lugs, how are you? Your thoughts on anything from Week 12, the opening salvo?
Well, I'd say my favorite game was the Jaguars versus the Texans. Both quarterbacks, it's like Trevor Lawrence has really kind of come into his own finally. Maybe it's Peterson's influence. Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver, man, had some great catches. And by the same token, C.J. Stroud and that team, the Texans, they were great. They really were. So that was sort of my favorite game of the weekend. The rest of them sort of went to script or were over in the first quarter. How'd you see it, Dog?
Well, first I'll comment on yours. It was definitely, I'll give this, the one you had, I have as my silver medal. And it's not that it in general, it wouldn't usually be the number one game because, one, I'm just excited to think for like at least the next decade, hopefully these guys stay healthy, that we're going to have Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Stroud twice a year because just the level of play of both of them, they both balled out. And like you said, not that they haven't been winning, but it just felt like the Jags offense in general hadn't really taken off. But these last 2 weeks, I believe the Jaguars have played more like 12 personnel and also kind of instead of having the wide receivers out wide, they've condensed them in more. So it allows Calvin Ridley to not have to really play against the boundary more. And they're allowing him to, use his route running skills more in the middle of the field. And I just feel they've exploded these last 2 weeks. Trevor Lawrence, kind of like last year where it was late in the season, the Jaguars offense really kind of took off. Luckily, this year they didn't start as slow as they did. And, sure, they're not the number one seed, but with the way Trevor Lawrence is playing, with the way Calvin Ridley's playing, and Josh Allen, not the quarterback Josh Allen, the edge rusher from Kentucky, he had 3 sacks, and it was a big part of the reason why the Texans couldn't even send it into overtime. His sack put them in a spot where they had to try to kick a 58-yard field goal. And, it obviously was just short. So it did have that great ending. And CJ Stroud, I mean, again, what haven't we said about him? I mean, just some of the throws that he makes, the big time throws, him running in that touchdown, and there have been two big faux pas about his abilities, coming into the draft. One was that bogus test that is clearly wrong about his aptitude in terms of reading and scanning the field. But the other one that has been crushed is everyone's like saying he was very mechanical and doesn't really know how to use his athleticism. I mean, the way he moved around and, did the half circles, buying time for, some of his passes to Dell or Nico Collins, like that clearly showed that that's not the case at all. But no, I got to go with my game was that I thought was the best was that Bills Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was a good game too. Yeah.
It just because, and I know they're 500 and there's a good chance they don't make the playoffs. And he did have a timely interception. That being said, I mean, Josh Allen still has played at like an MVP level. I don't really put it on him. He threw for 339 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball 81 yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He was taking it to the Eagles. And like we said all year, the weirdest thing about the Eagles is they are clearly not the most impressive team. Obviously, the 49ers feel like the most impressive team this year, I think, in week in, week out. I think Dallas, week in, week out, has been more impressive in just how they've dominated teams. Eagles always edge by, but the thing is Hurts is just so powerful. A.J. Brown is just such so big. Their defense steps up in moments. They give away a lot of points, but they're just so clutch. And just that Jake Elliott kick has to be one of the greatest kicks. I know we're living in hyperbole, but the kick 58 or was a 59-yard field goal in the rain. So there had to be extra weight on that ball just to send it into overtime is just amazing. And like I said, I know I keep denying them being the best team, but it's getting harder and harder to say that they're not.
Oh, they define win ugly. Every week, it's crazy, but that builds confidence over time in a big bad way, and especially with Jalen and the tush push and all of that. They've got those things those intangibles. I thought the offense, I guess, I don't know if it made that much difference firing Ken Dorsey and bringing in Joe Brady, but I do think that the offense was looking better for Buffalo. I still think they need a different coach. McDermott, I just don't,
The window's closing on him, you're saying? He's out the door, you think?
Well, I think he's got a better shot at remaining than Staley at the Chargers, but Staley is gone.
His seat on the Titanic's a little closer to the water, maybe?
The iceberg is looming large at this point. But I don't know what they'll do. I guess, looking ahead here, you could say Harbaugh, that would be Jim, not John, would be a good fit for them because Harbaugh has traditionally been really good at developing quarterbacks.
You're talking at Buffalo or at L.A. Chargers? Which one?
At the Chargers.
Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers. So I don't know who would go to Buffalo. Nobody wants to freeze like that. So,
but they're getting a new stadium. It's going to have a retractable dome. They'll have a Super Bowl there.
No, but you still got to live there.
You still
know what I mean? It 5 feet of snow every year. Come on, man.
A neighbor drove through there after Thanksgiving. They were getting 30 inches of, it's only lake effect snow. What? My favorite moment of the weekend, though, and let's talk about this for a second. Frank Reich as owner David Tepper called him, owner of the Carolina Panthers, is fired after going 1-10. Tepper went on to defend the Panthers' decision to pick Bryce Young. So I ask you both, Frank Reich is a good coach. Who would want to go work for that guy and be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers? Jim Harbaugh?
No, he's not going to do that. I think Tepper needs to calm his temper down. You 2 coaches in 2 years.
6 and
plus,
3, right? 6 coaches, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Plus the principle of NFL, players. Now, their number one receiver is a guy named Mingo. I went online to just see Mingo's history. His name doesn't come up until 4th or 5th down. The one that comes up is the old Ed Ames character on the Daniel Boone series from like 50 years ago.
Yeah, sure. Johnny Carson. Right, sure. Yeah.
They've got no players. They've got no running backs. They've got no defense. They've got no offensive line. I mean, how can you even judge any of those guys on any basis, especially Bryce Young?
Well, and T-Dog, I ask you this, at 1-10, so we're 11 games in, you've got 6 to play. Why do you hire the coach when you want? I know they don't have the first draft pick, but if they tank, they tank. Who cares? Why are you doing this? You don't want to. It's bizarre to me.
I mean, that's the thing with Tepper. A lot of these guys who buy these teams, sometimes they don't understand like
football.
Like you can't. It was the thing is like he, obviously he's watched it a lot, like us, and he thinks he knows, but like you don't know like how to construct a team. You don't get like, we'll get into the Chargers probably later. Chargers have like a lot of top end talent, but they don't have like mid tier talent or lower talent, and they don't. So like they have big weakness spots that like teams can attack. I mean, I'm going to be nicer than Lugs on Panthers. They have some players. Brian Burns is a very good pass rusher. Derek Brown, their D tackle, is a good interior, defensive player. And, Chuba Hubbard is definitely not a star. Miles Sanders is too injured. I'll give you that, but they have some talent. I will agree with you on this, that Adam Thielen, who's had a great career, I believe he's around 34 years old.
Yeah.
I think statistically is their best receiver, and they try to actually scheme things up for him because, to be fair to Lugs' point, Jonathan Mingo, and to be fair, he's a rookie. He could get a lot better. Jonathan Mingo is not ready for prime time right now. DJ Chark, who's a great athlete, has never really turned into any player of any type. Similar, Laviska Shenault, great athlete, hasn't turned into anything but a kind of a gadget guy, which you're giving a lot of snaps to. And, they were beaten down by, a Titans team who are very similar to the Panthers right now. They're kind of listless, kind of like drifting through the season, just waiting for it to end, kind of. And they were completely outmatched against another team that's not that great. So, I don't know what Tepper expects he's going to get, because if I don't know if you'll remember, like if you look at the coaching staff for the Panthers going into the season, I mean, there was a lot of people you really kind of believed in. They got Ezra, their defensive coordinator from Denver last year. He did a great job last year. Frank Wright, like you said, he had success in Philly. He had some success, particularly with the Colts, mishmashing, kind of like Tepper, where, every year he had another new quarterback. And for the most part, until it got to Matt Ryan, even the Carson Wentz year, if you look at it, Carson Wentz, for the most part, played relatively well in terms of later year Carson Wentz. Like you said, though, like I don't know who they're going to get, because Ben Johnson, who's probably going to be one of the hotter candidates, he was interviewed last year and he turned it down.
From Detroit, right? Offensive coordinator?
Yes. He's from Carolina. He was a walk-on at Chapel Hill, but he's not going there. He's going to have, again, like what Lugs brought up, Chargers job's probably going to be open. I mean, who would you rather? And again, I'm not taking a shot at Bryce on this really, but like, who do you envision having a better success down the road? Justin Herbert or Bryce Young? Like,
right.
Which place are you going to go to?
Go Herbert, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, and even if we're going down the path that is probably a real possibility too. Would you all with Dermott losing his job? Where would you rather go? Coach Bryce Young or Coach Josh Allen?
Pretty easy answer there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing is like some of these jobs are going to be popping up. One, either they have a better quarterback available, or and the other bigger bugaboo. Not that there's a lot of great owners. I mean, Tepper right now is easily the worst owner, and that's crazy to say because Irsay,
he's certifiable,
Irsay,
right?
Yeah, Irsay crazily thought like Jeff Saturday was a good idea last year, and then very recently on I believe HBO stated he was discriminated against as a rich white or billionaire, in Carmel, Indiana.
What the hell? But then look at that AFC South, and the Colts are right there, baby, at 6-5. I mean, something happened there.
Yeah.
But you're right, Irsay's a little bit out there.
The drama this year is more about coaching than it is, say, like, I don't think you have any sort of Aaron Rodgers kind of stuff swirling around at all. It's mostly just about coaching. And
all right. Another game you like. What game was it there?
Well,
Green Bay, Chicago's going to come. I mean, Chicago, Minnesota.
Those are like basketball or softball
12 to 10
or something. I was just going to say, saddest of the weekend for me was Mac Jones getting benched again.
Yeah.
You could tell on the sideline he is done. I mean, that's one of the. You just look at that guy. He's far better than what he's being able to accomplish at this point. I don't know what happened, but you can tell that man has no confidence at all. It was just sad to watch. So that was my sad moment of the weekend.
I mean, that's the thing is you're right. It was just a real ugly game. The Giants versus Eagles. I mean, Giants versus Patriots, and just the Giants only had 10 first downs to New England's 18, and it got down to the very end of the game where they were in position, New England, to send it in overtime with which in the pros is a cheap shot, is a chippy shot, and the dude totally missed it. And they lose 10-7, and I'm with Lugs. Like, I still think Belichick is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, head coach for his time in New England. Obviously, mainly with Brady, but these last 2 years, like, it's clearly on him that going back to last year that he hired Patricia and Judge to kind of do whatever I don't even know who was essentially the offensive coordinator. Because you go back to Mac Jones' last year at Alabama, where he won the Heisman, he didn't win the Heisman, my bad. Devontae Smith did, but he played at a Heisman level, they won the championship. And then you go back to his first year with Josh McDaniels as the OC. And that's what Josh McDaniels should be and never be a head coach. But to be fair to at least Josh McDaniels, he is a good OC because Mac Jones looked like he was on the trajectory that I think most people thought he was going to be. Maybe he's never going to be a star, but he could be like a middle-of-the-road quarterback, which is a good living. and how they have wrecked this guy, like Lugs has said, where this guy has no trust in any decision he makes, is a total deer in headlights and everything. That is all on the coaching and also the personnel, which again goes back on Belichick, and he's going to be relieved of his job at the end of the year. And as crazy as it is to say for a guy who's won 6 titles for them, how bad these last 2 years
It's painful.
have gone.
Painful.
It's hard for anyone to justify being like, yeah, he should come back another year. It's like, I don't know if you can. So, and we've joked on him, or I'm gonna at least say I did. I'm gonna joke on him. On the other side, Tommy DeVito, I don't know if he's even on the Giants next year. I don't even know if he's a backup next year.
He's on
I think he's
taxi
played
squad
well.
somewhere.
I think he's played well enough that, again, kind of like we talked about Josh Dobbs like the last few weeks. Tommy DeVito, like, again, if I'm gonna highlight anything for this, Tommy DeVito is probably gonna stay on at least people's speed dials when quarterbacks get injured. He'll be around the league for another 6 years, like, because of, I think, how well relatively well he's played, considering like the state of the Giants offense in general, to be fair to him even too. So like,
He's
that's
won
why.
2 out of 3. So,
Yeah.
ugly, but
Yeah.
it's a W.
And I guess the only other highlight to really point out is taking it in the 3rd round, Jalen Hyatt. He has really, he really kind of emerged. He had 5 catches for 190 yards or 109 yards. So like, there's some good elements of the Giants, hopefully, for next year. Obviously, this is a dead year, and unfortunately, they've won enough games now that they're out of the Williams/May sweepstakes. So I think they've already come out and said that Daniel Jones is their starter for next year. So unfortunately, those silver linings are then clouded with that big dark cloud of Daniel Jones. So,
All right, Lugs.
I was going to say, apparently Wink Martindale has gone as defensive coordinator. Apparently he and Dable don't get along. And, but I wanted to say, hey, my man, our man, Bailey Zappi. Hey,
Yes, sir.
he did okay. That was my
Western
only comment.
Kentucky's own Hilltopper right there.
Exactly.
Okay,
So,
Green Bay, Detroit. Is it true this happened? Fox didn't have a turkey ready with the Green Bay logo on it, and they made some excuse because they for sure as hell thought the Lions were going to win. So, fellas, I ask you, do we now believe in Jordan Love as the Packers sit in the hunt now at 5-6? Slugs. Crazy.
no.
No.
No, I have no belief. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's a nice kid and a lovely dancer, I'm sure, but no. I watch him, and he's gotten better. I will give him that. He has gotten better. So I don't want to totally just bash on him, but he's just not seeing the field the way you have to see it in the NFL and reacting in ways you have to. And they've got talent. It's not like he's running for his life. That offensive line is a real good offensive line. The defense is pretty good. He's got young, inexperienced receivers, but they're all improving.
They're young. Yep, they're good.
So it's there. I'm sure. I remember Dog saying that basically Green Bay had no faith in him. They knew something we all didn't know because they didn't sign him to anything. And I think that's all coming. It's all coming true.
But T-Dog, they manhandled the Lions. I mean, come on.
well, that's the other way to look at it. Is
Or did the Lions just collapse? What did I do wrong there?
Well, no. I'm gonna button up on dovetail off of what Lug said, and then I'll get into I think what the bigger problem in that game was. To be fair to Jordan Love, I do kind of agree with Lugs on this. He has gotten better, and I think in our predictions before the year, I we thought this team would struggle a little bit. Not that anybody didn't, but mainly because when you look at the receiver core, they're all babies. Mm-hmm. They're all like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Like across the board.
Second year guys, right?
Second year players or rookies.
Yep.
And, now we're into week 12. Now some of these guys are starting to gel, I think. And they are playing better within the system. And as a result of that, it's making Love's job easier. The other part of it, though, is the last 2 weeks they played the Chargers, who all the Chargers do is give up big plays on defense. That's all they do is give up big plays.
That's all we do.
That's all they do, which is crazy. It was why Stanley is going to get fired because he got the job because his whole idea was we're gonna let them like run the ball and stuff. You're not going to beat us over the top. That's all people have done to him this year is beat him over the top or get Zay Flowers touchdown at the end of the game. It was a big play. That's all the Chargers do is give away big plays. But anyway, I'm getting off track. And then the bigger problem is Detroit. Their secondary, against again, I think Green Bay is playing better, and obviously their roster is better than this team that I'm going to talk about too. A week ago, remember, Justin Fields came back from that thumb injury. He played exceptional at quarterback. I only threw for like 160 yards and in one touchdown, but he ran for like 100 yards. And they barely won against at the time a 3-7 Bears team. So like this Detroit team, their defense is really kind of been shaky. And the other part of it is to the last two opponents in the Chicago and the Bears, they've really gotten Goff to turn the ball over. And if Goff isn't playing clean, and particularly with how like the second and third level of that Detroit defense is kind of getting exposed at times, I mean, they're clearly going to make the playoffs, and I still think they're going to win the division. But like, if they don't tighten it up a little bit, like they're going out in the first round.
Roger that. Yes, sir. Okay, Lugs, you got a little sports of yesteryear. I think you teased us with a little Grey Cup information, did you not?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, let's get this thing going. Here it comes. Sports of yesteryear. We're going to go up to Canada. Oh, Canada. And check in with Lugs, who's in his Royal Canadian Mounted Police squad car, I think. Come on in here, Lugs. Do the story.
All right. We set the Wayback Machine to 1894 for the third Iron Bowl. Alabama beats Auburn 18-zip in Montgomery. Now, here you go. CFL 1924, the Cup, Varsity Stadium, Toronto. Queen's University, never heard of it, wins third straight championship, defeats the, get this, Toronto Balmy Beach, 11-3. A balmy beach in Toronto. I don't know about that. 1934, Chicago beats Detroit. 1918 in the first NFL game broadcast nationally. 1987, Joe Montana of the San Francisco 49ers completes an NFL record 22 consecutive passes. And get ready, here comes your Grey Cup information that you need to know. 1992, CFL Grey Cup, Skydome, Toronto. Calgary Stampeders beat Winnipeg Blue Bombers 24-10. Woohoo! MVP quarterback Doug Flutie, 33 of 49 for 480 yards, 2 TDs. Flutie had a surprisingly long career. He played 12 seasons in the NFL, 8 seasons in the CFL, and 1 season in the USFL, proving, unlike what songwriter Randy Newman said, short people do have a reason to live. That's it for this edition of Sports of Yesteryear.
Short people ain't got nothing. Right. Wow. Doug Flutie played 20? Did he really?
Yeah.
21 years?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
How many teams did he play for in the NFL? I know the Bears. Bills wore number 2 all the time. Of course, the famous Boston College play, right?
Oh, yeah. That's the first Hail Mary.
Yeah.
That was one of those where, Well,
it was one of the first Hail Marys. The Hail Mary, as you know, that was Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And Yes, Flutie played a lot. Right, a lot of ball, and then he went to Can. Oh yeah, wow. All right. I wonder if he and Tressman have a Molson once in a while, just to talk it over. Talk about
some Molsons and some Tim Hortons.
Yeah. Hey there. Let's go, boys. Wait, what was that other score? 19-18. Chicago over Detroit in the first ever what? National televised game?
Nationally broadcast game, yes. I assume it was radio, not TV.
Oh, not Chris Schenkel TV. Or Kurt Gowdy or
no.
Pat Summerall or
Pat Summerall.
Who else of that era? Okay, well we got that.
Speaking of old announcers,
I love it.
This Friday is the last day that our man Dan Issel will be on the radio in Louisville. He's finally retiring he's going to go just to horse racing. I will miss him because he just says it like it is. He calls the Lexington Herald Leader and get ready. He says it's just a PR rag for the UK.
Issel's 75, so that's a good age to get out from under it all. Sure, why not? If he's been good at everything he's ever done. Amazing.
Yeah, he's just going to manage his horses. He has like a stable of horses, so he's just going to manage those or whatever.
Maybe we get in a syndicate and buy like a quarter of a horse or something, a hind quarter.
Well, I'm sure he'd take your money now.
As long as I can give a horse a peppermint, I'd be good. All right, 31 past the hour. It's not too bad out, 48 degrees. T-Dog, Lugs, what are the games you want to cover tonight?
Go ahead, Dog. It's your turn.
It's my turn? All right. Speaking of, because I think Lugs is right. Bizarrely enough, you would think this wouldn't be the hot thing or like the main theme of the season, but I think, like Lugs said, it is coaching. And what better place in terms of an indictment on a coach? Last week, Steelers let go of Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, where the Pittsburgh Steelers hadn't had over 400 yards in offense since October of 2020. I believe it was 58 games going without 400 yards of offense. They fire Matt Canada. Literally, the first game without him at OC, they go over 400. So
amazing.
Kenny Pickett, again, I don't know if he's ever going to be what they drafted him to be in the first round, but again, kind of going back to the Mac Jones thing, I think he could be a solid quarterback. I think Mac Jones has a higher ceiling as a prospect still, but Kenny Pickett played well. He's been back a few weeks, but Pat Freiermuth being like kind of 100% and really kind of going really helped their offense. He was just killing it between the hashes. He had over 120 yards receiving, and this has been going for I think for like over a month now. The combination of Najee Harris and Jalen Warren just continue to just bludgeon teams, and it's why for the most part this Steelers offense has really kept it going, and they're 7-4 now. And they definitely feel like I don't think they're going to taper off. They're definitely going to make the playoffs, particularly with the team they beat, the Bengals, without Burrow for the rest of the year. I think they're they still have to win some games, but they should be in position to win. And like we said, this team, even though when you look at Pickett, I know their ceiling's not great. I still think, they can make it to the divisional round. I think they can make it out of wild card weekend. I don't see them getting past the top teams after that in the divisional round. But all in all, I'd say with what some of the components were, what the prognostication was for them, beginning of the year, I think Steelers fans should be happy about what this team has kind of done this year.
Agree, totally. Coming up fast at the right time. Right.
I was just going to say Pickens, the receiver, hasn't lived up. I thought being his size, I thought we'd get more out of him. You're not really getting anything. And with Cincinnati, gosh, I hate to say this, Burrow is very talented, but he can't stay on the field. I mean, he's not completed his season.
So wait, this is the end of season 4 or 3 for him.
This is the end of season 4.
He missed a full season with that knee injury.
Yeah. No, he didn't miss the full season. He played a few games. He got injured.
Yeah, missed
Second
like 15
year,
games.
they went to the Super Bowl championship game last year, and this is his 4th year. So,
yeah, you're right. Lugs, he's had some hard luck.
But he played 2 complete seasons. But to be fair to Lugs' point, I mean, we're doing it off of a sample size of 4 seasons. 2 of those seasons, he missed half of 2 seasons. So to say that durability issues is a problem, it's a legitimate check to put right next to him. So.
And I'm going to go with you guys. There's rising star teams right now that are peaking well. Steelers is one I wrote down. Broncos, out of nowhere, they're coming on strong. And I think the Colts have won 3 in a row. So I think those teams are hitting their stride at the right time of the season for me and could have an impact on early wild card games. Who knows?
Yeah. I was just going to say Denver's defense has really, really improved. Not so much their offense. I mean, it has, but yeah, I would agree with that. And also, I was just going to say about Pittsburgh, you don't want to come over and face that head coach right there. Oh, Mike gives you that look with that chin jutted out. Oh, that's
and what's with the sunglasses? It's raining, 45 degrees and cloudy, and he's wearing the Foster Grants. Can you walk me through that a little bit? That's part of the mystique right there. You're right. You can't approach him.
So anyway, yeah, I have a lot of respect for him because he does, like last year, they shouldn't have been over 500, and he gets it out of his players, even the crazy ones. Remember Brown, AB?
Yes,
Antonio Brown. Yeah,
Antonio Brown.
I mean, that guy, that's a head case of all head cases, and he still got stuff out of him. He got, so I respect his abilities a lot.
With that, and also, he is a great coach, and obviously his tenure showed that. But the other reason everyone loves him is the sound bites. Because speaking of wide receivers having like problems with attitude, and I just want to say I'm not putting them in the same category in terms of Antonio Brown, who just really went off the deep end, and Pickens, who a few weeks ago got upset, removed all Pittsburgh stuff from his social media.
Right.
And a reporter asked Tomlin about it. It's like, how much does this concern you? He's like, it's like a pebble in my shoe. So
yeah, and he had to face up to I've forgotten the receiver, Williams maybe. This week, a fumble of football is on the ground, and he's standing there looking at it.
Oh, no, it's Deontay Johnson.
Okay, Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
I was just like, I wouldn't want to be that guy facing Tomlin when he comes over to the sideline. I mean, everybody else is scrambling for it, and he's right there at it, and he doesn't dive on it. I just, that's immaturity.
Yeah, kind of jumping on what Jay Boy's talking about. I get why a lot of people, again, kind of going back to what Lugs is saying. The theme was, I know a lot of people don't like him because he can be prickly. Maybe is the nicest way to put it. And obviously, he got, it sounds like $20 million a year from the Walton family.
He did.
And early on, it looked like, everyone was like, who disliked Sean Payton was throwing an egg in his face. Is like, see, it's like, you think you're so great. You're so great.
Bounty Gate and all
now
that.
They're 6 now they're 6-5, and the one thing I'll eat crow on is I thought by this point, that Russell Wilson would have been benched, and not that he's, playing exceptional, but he's playing very measured within the game. They definitely want to lean on their defense. They want to lean on, Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, and even Russell Wilson running the ball. They just want to kind of just pound the rock, eat clock, shorten games, and it's been really successful for them. So, credit to them. And there is a chance they might even squeak into the playoffs, which I'm not going to say for anyone else. I think it's ahead of schedule on where they should be. So,
I mean, 100%. If we look at what's going on, I mean, they're doing better. The Bills, we got a downward arrow on their trajectory. The Broncos are going high. The Steelers are going high. But, other teams are not going to be. The Bengals, as we mentioned, the Browns definitely will be there. But, yeah, the Broncos are surprising a lot of people if they keep it up, I think.
And again, for a team that in early October gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
Credit
like 500 yards, man. That was wild.
Yeah, credit to a lot of the players on Denver's defense, like Patrick Surtain, Josie Jewell, Justin Simmons, and their coach, their defense coordinator Vance Joseph. All those people stepping up, and over like the last 5 to 6 weeks, really tightening it up and like getting this team back to above 500.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then on the Indy point, we all loved Anthony Richardson, and we still are excited for him next year. But again, what Shane Steichen has done with this team, and again, just the way that Gardner Minshew has been Gardner Minshew. He's been Gardner Minshew. He's a little up and down, but he plays well enough. That offensive line has come back to form like from 2 years previous. Unfortunately, Jonathan Taylor is going to be out a few weeks with a hand injury, but he returned to form against usually a stout run defense. On 15 carries, he had 91 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Zach Moss stepping in and having 8 carries for 55 yards. And Pittman, being a guy who will get paid by the Colts to be retained. And it looks like they found a steal, even though his numbers weren't great in this game. Josh Downs for this year has looked out of North Carolina, has looked like a absolute steal where they got him. So the future in terms of like the pieces are in place for the Colts. And if you really look at their schedule down the road does not look too intimidating. Right. So they are definitely in the hunt. The only unfortunate thing is this: they play in a division with the Jaguars and the Texans. So that might be the thing that maybe has them slip on a banana peel. So,
but exciting time, and I don't think we would have said this, to be a Colts fan, and not so much to be a Bengals fan.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And I agree. Pittman, they finally figured out a way to use him, to get the ball to him. I mean, he had over 100 yards. So, yeah, it would be interesting if Anthony Richardson was there. Minshew is like a gadget sort of a guy. He's cool, and he has like these brilliant moments, and then all of a sudden he just kind of melts a little bit. So,
and the other thing I'll just tag on the Minshew again. He is up and down. He's not perfect. I think we all agree on that. But credit to Shane Steichen and their front office in knowing it's important to have a backup quarterback, because we look at the Jets. I'm going to keep hammering them on this one. They traded all that draft capital away and gave all that money up for Aaron Rodgers because Zach Wilson was a problem. And who was their backup? Zach Wilson. It's like, how does that make any sense? And, PJ Walker's had some moments, and, DTR has played well in spots, but I know you give up all that money for Deshaun Watson, but for how good that defense is for, Cleveland, that offensive line, how good the running attack is, for them not to have someone of at least solid to backup quality. And the crazy thing is they did. I mean, I know he completely, crapped the bed against the Bears on Monday night, but they had Joshua Dobbs and they traded him away to Arizona.
Yep.
So it just goes to show you, like, I know you don't want to spend too much money on a backup quarterback, but you can, luckily for the Jets, it sounds like Aaron Rodgers, because he has enough pull. Salah maybe makes it back next year. Their front office makes it back. Banner it makes it back next year. Or Joe Douglas, my bad. Joe Douglas is their GM. Makes it back next year just because Aaron Rodgers wants them back. But because if not for Aaron Rodgers, these guys are fired. All these guys are fired with the Jets. This
right
is
now.
Disgraceful. Yeah, this is disgraceful what's happened with the collection of talent they have on defense, with how great a talent Breece Hall is, how great a talent Garrett Wilson is, and just that starting Tim Boyle, a quarterback for multiple games, is your third best option. It's just baffling.
So do you make anything at all, any smattering of hope? They've opened a 21-day window for Rodgers to practice. Does that mean anything, or is this just smoke and mirrors and sells newspapers?
I think they just want to give the fans some sort of sense of hope about a season, but Rodgers ain't coming back. I mean, that was a horrendous injury, and I don't think a 40-year-old man can come back. If he did, he would just be a one-legged guy out there hurling the ball. So,
well, this is the thing. The Jets are 4-7, and this is the rest of their matchups. So they're 4-7 already. With that record alone in the AFC, you're essentially eliminated, right? They'd have to run the table and get some. This is their schedule. Atlanta Falcons, who I get it, they're up and down, but the Jets are starting Tim Boyle against Atlanta Falcons. Next game, Houston Texans. Then at Miami. They got just drummed by Miami 34-13. Now it's going to be at Miami. Washington Commanders, sure, they can maybe win that game, I guess. Cleveland Browns, yes. New England. But again, I look at that Houston Texans game, Miami Dolphins. I'm not saying weird things can happen, but that's at least 2 more losses. At best, they finish 8-9. That's not making the playoffs.
Not in the AFC. Right on.
Yeah, it's a sad state for the boys considering all they invested in Rodgers.
It's my goal in life on the bucket list to come back with a name and just 3 letters, DTR.
Cool.
I will say, even though none of us like Aaron Rodgers, I just want to say I was excited for the Jets because I think he was going to play well. Mm-hmm. And I think they were going to be one of the exciting teams. And people can get mad that they had the Black Friday game. On paper, Miami Dolphins with Aaron Rodgers and with the Jets, it was worthy to be the first inaugural Black Friday game. Unfortunately, we got Tim Boyle getting his brains beat in for
Tim
4
Boyle.
quarters.
Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle.
Wasn't he on the cast of Downton Abbey, Tim Boyle?
It feels like he was. He probably wanted to stay there.
Well, and I think we all wanted the media circus of New York and, MetLife Stadium and Rodgers and his, comments and his stuff that he does and being a tabloid guy. It would have been a great circus for us to all be, part of Aaron Rodgers' world in a small part.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? It's about 48 past the hour here on the big broadcast. Anything else you want to cover tonight, fellas?
I'm good.
I guess the last thing I want to hit on is look, I like Fields and
Justin Fields.
I do. I just want to hit on this.
Yep.
It's great. The Bears won. They've looked better. They're actually 4-4 out of their last 8 games, so they have done some things to turn around. I think their defense has some pieces that are finally starting to gel and come into place. And I think Fields can still have a good career. The people being like, well, maybe they keep Justin Fields. Look, I like Justin Fields. I think he'll have a good career somewhere else. I don't think the Bears can stay with him because you look at the people that know him. You look at how Luke Getsy called that game. It was screen, 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 screen. He did not trust him to throw down the field till he absolutely had to, which is, it was great. He made that pass to DJ Moore that set up the game-winning field goal. But for Luke Getsy to know him for 2 years, and for him in a big game that they need to win, for him to be only comfortable to call screens for him. And, the Bears were lucky to win because he had two timely fumbles that should have probably cost them the game. For anyone to be like, well, he's playing well. He's playing well, but still, like, these big black marks that are happening in year 3, like I said, I think someone will be like, hopefully for Mac Jones, for Justin Fields, they'll get him and they'll turn him into the player he should be. Just this Bears team, kind of like we were talking about Mac Jones, I think they're starting to get the roster in place, but unfortunately, I think some of the damage to him has been done, and he just needs a fresh start somewhere. So, like I said, I'm not really killing Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields. I just feel they need to turn the page at quarterback.
Yeah, he can go to Atlanta. He would be okay in Atlanta.
Arthur Smith wants
And I think Mac Jones, the perfect spot for him would be back up at Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He's not a starter. He just isn't. He's better than what he's showing, but he's not a starter. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yep. Matt Eberflus won his first North Division game as the head coach of the Bears, and this is his second season. So here's the good news,
He's
Bears
gone.
fans. You'll have a new quarterback and a new head coach next year in 2024.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, but here's the rest of their schedule. So they're 4-8. Detroit Lions. They're probably losing that game. But then at Cleveland, without Myles Garrett possibly, and without Denzel Ward, and with whoever they're going to possibly Joe Flacco starting at quarterback.
Wow.
Then Arizona Cardinals. Then Atlanta Falcons, who, again, Atlanta Falcons should be favorite, but Desmond Ridder, I don't know. And then at Green Bay. There is a chance they win 4 games. They finish 8-9. I don't think they will. I think they'll finish worse than that, but I think it's a legitimate practice that maybe if they do that well, they do retain Eberflus. But I do feel as good as Fields has played at spots this year, I just think it's too little too late, I think. So
Let me be the first to say, for 2024, the old Bear comes back, Jim Harbaugh, to coach the next generation Bears quarterback since, Sid Luckman? Caleb Williams. What do you say?
I'm okay with that.
Let's go for it.
Go.
That'll be the Bears of 2024. Bear down. This has been Sports and Other Stuff, brought to you in part by Faro Mobile Homes. Cross that money-saving bridge for big savings. Just stop in and ask for our guy. He's there tonight, but I forgot his name. It's
Fish. This week marks the passing of the quiet Beatle, George Harrison, in 2001, to honor the man who wrote Here Comes the Sun, While My Guitar Gently Sleeps, and many more songs for the Beatles and himself. Beginning at 1 p.m. Saturday, we'll celebrate the Fab Four's movie career with special showings of Hard Day's Night, Yellow Submarine, and Get Back, the in-depth series about the making of the Beatles album Let It Be. Entry is $20 with a special concert from the Beatles tribute band, the Mop Tops. All proceeds will go to George's charity, the Material World Foundation. Come on down.
Get back. Yes, that'll be a good one. See Fish, he'll be there all weekend. And thanks for listening. And if you've been able to watch this, I don't know how you are, but we appreciate that too. We'll see you next time on Sports and Other Stuff. So long for now. Bye-bye.